And as you're doing that, I want to thank all of you who brought a food donation today. With food insecurity being such a huge challenge right now, every donation is greatly appreciated. Thank you also to Dorothy Bullitt for bringing us the idea. And thank you to Gina, where are you, Hall, for helping to get the food. There you are. For helping us get the food down to the food bank. We have a very huge program today. In addition to continuing our look at the arts and culture, today's program is going to include two new member introductions, a musical performance, and yes, you heard that right, performance, because it's Arts Month, and an update on our SRSF campaign. At this time, rather than our usual sing-along, we are going to have a special performance by our member, Jose Ineguez, accompanied by Freeman Fong on the piano. Jose's passion for music took him from the orchards of central Washington to opera stages around the world. As the founder and president of Encanto Arts, has dedicated himself to bringing arts and culture to underserved and rural communities. Encanto has produced concerts that showcase diverse talent, create cross-cultural collaborations, and support arts education to young people across our state and in Mexico. Please welcome Jose and Freeman to the podium.
When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the Lord. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on, walk on, with open heart, and walk on. Oh, Lord, when you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown.
And we have a little special something, which Jose forgot. So
So we have a
it's
birthday. Mary? So everybody, let's sing happy birthday. Happy birthday birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mary. Happy birthday to you.
thank you. And thank you, Jose and Freeman. That was absolutely gorgeous. Thanks also to Matt Albertson, Michael Fors, Tim Battenking, and David Frum for serving as our greeters today, and to Logan Riley for our meeting reporting. We have several guests and visiting Rotarians with us today. I cannot possibly get through all the names. So would you all stand and we can welcome you? Please stand if you're a guest today or a visiting Rotarian. That includes everybody. Thank you. At this time, we're going to welcome Gina Hall to the podium to introduce our new member, Ming Ming Tung Edelman, followed by Julie Kang, who will introduce new member Dahlia Sharif.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. It is my privilege to introduce our newest member, Ming Ming Tung Edelman, sponsored by Asunta Ing Classification Manufacturing. Ming Ming comes to us with a remarkable story, a story of resilience, creativity, and service. Ming Ming immigrated to the United States from Taiwan over 30 years ago. She earned her degree and built a successful career as a clinical pharmacist, a profession she excelled at for more than 25 years. But Ming Ming felt something was missing. She wanted to do more for her community and for women who faced challenges similar to those she has faced. Inspired by her grandmother, who supported her family through sewing, Ming Ming enrolled in the University of Washington's Fashion Certification Program in 2015. That decision sparked a new chapter for Ming Ming. She saw an opportunity to combine her love of design with her passion for social impact. And in 2017, she founded the Refugee Artisan Initiative, otherwise known as RAY. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, like a ray of sunshine.
Okay, like the ray of sunshine. Thank you. Now I will remember that. RAY empowers refugee and immigrant women by transforming their sewing skills into sustainable livelihoods. Through training, through tools, and micro business development, RAY helps women overcome barriers like language, childcare, and transportation. Today, RAY has served artisans from countries including Afghanistan, Ethiopia, Myanmar, and I had to look that up, it is a place, Myanmar, thank you, and Morocco, providing flexible work, fair wages, and a sense of community. During the pandemic, Ray produced over 80,000 masks from upcycled materials, supporting both public health and environmental sustainability. Ming Ming's vision to turn textile waste into opportunity and isolation into empowerment has forged the future for Ming Ming and her organization. Family remains central to Ming Ming's life. She and her husband, Jeff, live here in Seattle. Jeff is a pulmonologist at the VA. They have two daughters. One is a junior at the University of Washington, and the other graduated last year and is now a thriving artist in New York City. Ming Ming says she joined Rotary because she believes in the power of service and community. She is drawn to her mission of service above self. And she looks forward to collaborating on projects that create lasting change. Please join me in giving a warm Seattle Rotary welcome to Ming Ming.
Good afternoon. It's my great honor to introduce my mentee, Dr. Dahlia Sheriff, someone whose story truly captures the spirit of Rotary, a visionary educator, thought leader, and a global connector whose journey speaks to resilience and the power of education to transform lives. Dahlia, like the flower, currently serves as the Chief Academic Officer and Senior Executive Director of Workforce Education at Seattle Colleges. Her work opens doors for adult learners, working parents, and underrepresented communities, helping people gain not only the skills, but confidence and hope for a better future. Before coming to the United States, Dahlia built an extraordinary career in Egypt, where she combined education, innovation, and storytelling in ways that brought imagination to life. When she immigrated to the US as a new mother of three, she had to start all over again. In Egypt, she had collaborated with the White House on international education initiatives, but in America, she began anew as an advisor at Houston Community College. Through determination, humility, and faith in education, she rose once again to leadership. That bridge has now become the foundation of her life's mission to help others rebuild, rise, and thrive through learning. Dahlia holds a PhD in industrial organizational psychology from Grand Canyon University and a BA from the American University in Cairo. She is also a published author and serves on the Workforce Development Council of Seattle-King County, shaping policies that create pathways to economic mobility. Beyond her professional accomplishments, she's known for her warmth, curiosity, and humor. She tells me she's fueled by coffee, so if you have a chance, go out for a little coffee meeting. And she is also a firm believer that every great meeting should end with both laughter and purpose. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Dahlia Sheriff, a leader who reminds us that education doesn't just change careers, it changes lives, strengthens communities, and expand what's possible for all of us. Congratulations and welcome.
I have just a very short remark. I wanted to share with you a quote by Gandhi that always stayed with me. And it goes like this: the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And for more than 20 years, across 3 continents, Rotary has been my compass for that truth. So from Cairo to Katy, Texas to Seattle, Washington, I've been and I've seen what happens when service crosses borders, crosses cultures and languages. Rotary taught me that the world may look different wherever we stand, but the human heart beats the same exact way everywhere, in generosity, in kindness, and in hope. So thank you for welcoming me again in that circle of service. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina and Julie, and welcome to Ming Ming and Dahlia. At the end of our meeting, if the two of you will stand by the back so that everyone can greet you as they exit. When I was in elementary school in Seattle, we had something called junior programs. I don't know if any of you remember them. They'd take us downtown in a bus and we'd get to see a play in a theater like 4 times a year. Remember? Yeah, it was great. And I think that's where my love of theater really began. That and listening to musical theater albums, soundtracks at our house. So it's now my pleasure to welcome Vivian Phillips, founder of Art Noir and a Leadership Tomorrow graduate, to the podium, along with our panelists, Bill Berry, Executive Director of the Fifth Avenue Theater, and Jeff Herman, Managing Director of the Seattle Repertory Theater. And rather than take up the program reading their bios, they're on your table. And those of you who want to learn more can take a look at those and share them. Please join me in welcoming Vivian, Bill, and Jeff to the podium.
Thank you so much, Jan. What she didn't say is that I am a grad of the 10th anniversary class of Leadership Tomorrow. That was before most of you were born, but I go way back, except for you. You were there, obviously. It is such an honor to be here. I think the last time I was here was with Bernie Griffin, and we were on a panel. Bernie is formerly with the Fifth Avenue Theater, but I do encourage you all to look these individuals up. Both Bill Berry and Jeff Herman. These are two of Seattle's most prominent and effective arts leaders. You all can pay me later for saying that. But it has been my absolute pleasure to get to know these individuals, to be in a city where they work so hard to make sure that we all have access to live theater. So I want to start this conversation by asking each of you to just share a little bit about your organization and what it is that you do before we get into this conversation of mergers and collaboration and that kind of thing. But what is it that makes each one of your organizations distinct?
Okay, I'll go first. Yeah, first of all, thank you for having me today. I'm so honored to be here at Rotary. What I think is really special about the Fifth is we bring musicals to life. We curate them specifically for the Seattle and Pacific Northwest community. And we also bring in a mix of national tours from Broadway. So it's a combination of local producing shows that are specifically picked only to appear here in Seattle using your friends and neighbors who are professional artists, technicians, and craftspeople to create those productions from the ground up, mixed with the best of Broadway touring. We also have education and engagement programs that bring musicals across the state of Washington. Last year, we reached over 25,000 students in the state of Washington, bringing a live musical into their school. So that's a little bit about the Fifth.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here. I lived in Juneau, Alaska for a number of years and was a member of the Rotary Club there, and so it's nice to be back with you all. Seattle Rep has been around since the World's Fair in 1963 at our home at Seattle Center. While the fifth is primarily focused on musicals, we are more focused on straight plays at the Rep. We occasionally do some musicals, but really straight plays is sort of our bailiwick. We produce anywhere from 8 to 10 a year in our facility at Seattle Center. Welcome 100,000 plus audience members. We also have robust education programs, community engagement and outreach. We have a very vibrant internship program, so young emerging professionals often get their first job and start at the Rep. And yeah, I'll stop there.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes people don't recognize that there's a difference between a producing organization, which is what the Fifth Avenue is, and what is also the work of Seattle Rep, and a presenting organization, which is the primary purpose of the Seattle Theater Group, which is, it's kind of like apples and oranges in many ways. But how would you describe your collaborative nature, Bill, with the Seattle Theater Group?
Sure. Some of you may have read about, gotta be about 7 months ago, we announced that we formed a strategic alliance with Seattle Theater Group. And I want to say really clearly, it's not a merger, it's not an acquisition. We are two separate entities. We merely formed a business relationship to support one another in different ways. And the main way that that works is Seattle Theater Group is the steward and the shepherd of the venue, and they're going to manage the historic Fifth Avenue Theater, which the theater company had been doing for the last 50 years. They're experts at that. They do it at the Moore and at the Paramount and the Neptune. They have that covered. So we wanted to play to each other's strengths. The Fifth Avenue is amazing at producing local musicals for the Seattle community. And so we're supporting each other in this new way. It is apples and oranges, and it's also the same thing. It is creating high quality entertainment and theatrical, artistic experiences for this amazing community. They do it by bringing in primarily Broadway touring, and we do it primarily by producing local theater. So it is different. And the outlay of cash is the thing I was told to say today by my development director. We spend a lot more upfront to get one of these local musicals produced. So it takes a lot more resources to invest in local producing. But the flip side of that is that money stays in our community. It is going to local artists who work here, the technicians, we pay their salaries. It's also all the people who come downtown, spend their money on the tickets. That goes back into our organization, and it's supporting local businesses. Not that supporting the STG doesn't, it's just a different model of how it's supporting. Ours is going directly to about 800 workers a year.
Well, one of the things that I know about STG as well, I mean, there have been a couple of tours that have been built here in Seattle, like the Hamilton Phillip tour was built at the Paramount Theater, and then it goes out on tour. So there is kind of this fruit salad as well, because there are local artisans that get employed to do that work. And then the tour goes out and makes money in all of the different communities. Jeff, in your situation, the Seattle Children's Theater and the Seattle Repertory Theater are working collaboratively in what way?
Yeah, so some of you might have read about this as well. We sort of a resource and service sharing agreement with our friends right across the fountain at Seattle Center at Seattle Children's Theater. So this started as a collaboration on a joint box office. So when you call to buy a ticket at Seattle Children's or at the Rep, it's going to the same phone room and the same group of folks who are fulfilling those orders. That has since grown to encompass a shared IT department, shared data services. Seattle Rep's CFO is now the CFO at Seattle Children's Theater. We recently co-produced our first show together, a wonderful new play called Fancy Dancer, which we ran in the Leo K Theater at the Rep this past fall. So we are looking where it makes sense for us to collaborate, where it produces, efficiency and where it creates synergy. I don't know where this is ultimately going to go. People ask me, "Are you guys merging?" And I say, I don't know. We're dating, and we're going to see where this goes. But right now, it's working, and it's exciting to be building relationships with our friends over there.
I love that you're dating. I love that part. So, there's a lot of talk in the nonprofit sector these days about mergers. I mean, we're talking about mergers. What you all are doing is not a merger. You've made that very, very clear. But talk a little bit about the process. How do you come to this decision that another arts organization, when we have been bred in this community to not be cooperative necessarily, but to be competitive, how do you approach this conversation about merging your operational functions in a way that's much more economical, I would think, for each organization and ultimately for the community? Why don't we start with you?
I mean, I I think where it starts is is really looking at coldly as a financial calculation. I think that look, we all have distinct missions. We all have distinct constituencies and histories and legacies here. Nobody wants to eliminate any of that. Consolidation often means reduction of services and reduction of jobs for artists and reduction of opportunities for audiences. And so we really want to avoid that at all costs. But when you sit down and look at the numbers, it's like, look, there's some back office operations that are not going to affect our artistic operations or the number of jobs or opportunities for artists. And why don't we take advantage of that? We know that the world has changed since the pandemic for the not-for-profit performing arts. We're all feeling that. You're seeing the results of that in this relationship between STG and the Fifth and the Rep and Seattle Children's Theater, and of course, Seattle Shakespeare and Act Theater, which is now Union Arts Center. That probably is the closest thing to a full-on, typical merger. This is a result of sort of the changes and the pressures that we're all feeling, and we're all trying to navigate this in a way that preserves everybody's unique mission and preserves as many jobs for artists as possible. And so it really started just looking at, hey, does this make sense for us to get more efficient here? And then, lots and lots and lots of talking.
Yeah, I mean, something you said, Vivian, is we have been bred to think of it as competition or we can't work together. And I think coming out of COVID, we had to really look hard at our business models and say, is this sustainable if we don't do anything different? And it created an opportunity for conversations that you wouldn't have had just 2 years earlier. You just wouldn't have had this conversation. And for us, it was sitting down with Josh, and it started out as, would you help us maybe do some more programming at the Fifth? We thought there was an opportunity to maybe do some concerts and some comedians, but that's not our expertise. We don't know how to do that. So we thought, well, we'll just go ask if they would help us, which then led to, well, maybe there's a bigger idea for how we could support one another. And so we just engaged in those conversations kind of fearlessly because we didn't have anything to lose. Coming out of COVID, you just went, I don't have anything to lose anymore. We just went through the storm. I loved hearing when you walked through a storm, hold your head up high. It just was like what I needed to hear today. That was beautiful. And you just said, yeah, just keep going one step at a time and figure out where are the places where we will add value to each other, but also remain our own identities. And I don't think there is danger that we're going to suddenly become one thing. We're always going to all have different things. But if we can help each other, that means more art gets produced in Seattle, more opportunity exists. We're not taking anything away. There's no loss taking place.
I know one of the things that comes up in some of the conversations around this kind of collaboration is a fear inside the organizations where people will be replaced. I think you mentioned that. Your funders get confused a little bit. And not seeing any of this as a failure. It is absolutely an expansion. So what can you point to were the greatest fears going into this? And now, having been in these, both of these relationships, what do you point to as one of the greatest successes that was unexpected?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it right. Like that, people are worried they're going to lose their jobs, and these organizations that have decades of legacy are worried like it's going to go away. That mission's going to go away. Everything that I donated, all the elbow grease, all the time, the energy, the money, is going to be gone. So that was absolutely the biggest fear. That's still there as we're continuing our relationship with Seattle Children's. It never goes away. My job as leader, and Kevin Magazzini, who's my counterpart at Seattle Children, his job as a leader is to talk and to communicate as clearly and as regularly and as often as we can about what we're doing and why and what the ultimate goal is going to be. I think one of the things that has come out of our connection and relationship with Seattle Children's that we had not expected was we're seeing all sorts of opportunities to support one another in terms of marketing and audience development. The Rep and Seattle Children's, we really don't compete in many ways. We're complementary. At the Rep, when we have a young couple who's a subscriber and they decide to have children, we lose them. You can see it in our database, 15 years. Like they had children, they had children, they had children. Like it's very consistent. And then they bring their kids over to Seattle Children's Theater. And then when the kids are 12 or 13, they don't want to go to a place called the Children's Theater anymore. And so they come back to the rep. And so there is a way that we can be passing folks back and forth to one another. That's
Like that word.
yeah, well, that creates a full life cycle of theater, right? So it's not like we're losing people for 15 years, but they're going to one of our friends, and then at some point they'll come back to us, and so we're finding a way where we can kind of pass that ball back and forth, which is very exciting, which is synergy, which is not loss, but is synergy and is additive.
I think the biggest fear we were experiencing was the idea that STG would make it so that we only produced or presented touring shows, and we would lose our ability to produce local shows. We had to really work hard to make sure our internal staff understood that's not the plan. The plan is to actually double down on producing over time, but we needed to take an intermediary step and partner and maybe bring some more tours into the venue in order to build up an audience base, control some expenses. So we had to really work hard to tell a narrative around what the long term is going to be, not just the short term loss that did take place. We did have to cut back. We didn't produce as many local shows this year as we historically have, but that's part of our strategy to get back to health. And now it's about making sure people know that is where we're headed. That's what we're doing. I think one of the real opportunities for us is the cross promotion that we can do. They have a large audience that sees musicals. We have a large audience that loves musicals. We can cross promote, and people aren't going to choose between the two. They're going to do all of it, because once you have a great arts experience, you want to go have more great arts experiences, as opposed to, nope, I've had my arts for the year and I will not do it ever again. That's not how it works. It's like clusters of grapes, somebody said to me once. I don't know what it means, but I liked it. I like the image.
So what will it look like? I mean, I don't want to jump all the way to the end of the conversation, but you brought it up that one of the goals of the Fifth Avenue is to restore your health. So what is kind of the prognosis, I suppose, of moving towards that healthy status for the Fifth Avenue? Will it mean an end to this relationship?
I think that right now it's hard to say whether it will ever end, because I don't know the future. But right now we're not predicting that in 10 years we sever the relationship. We think the relationship is probably going to be one that goes on for 20 to 30 years, and then never say never, because we always have to reinvent. I think one of the interesting things about the Fifth Avenue, I've been there for 25 years, it's reinvented itself over and over and over. It started out just presenting national tours, then it moved to producing, then it moved to doing new work that would go to Broadway. 22 shows have gone to Broadway since I've been there. Now we're in a new phase, and who knows, 15 years from now we might need to reinvent again. But the status today is we have more subscribers than we had 2 years ago. That's partially due to the STG relationship, because they were able to provide some touring content this year that we had wanted to do for years. We've wanted to present the tour of Chicago. We weren't allowed to, because it was always going to go to STG, and good for them. They made a great deal to be able to do that. But when we formed a relationship, they said, you know what? Maybe this is a show you guys would want to do. And we're like, oh my God, yes. And it attracted more subscribers. So it's starting to build a sustainable future. And I think that 2 to 3 years from now, we will be back to producing more shows, and the tours will be augmenting and being the special additive, the unique thing that we do, as opposed to the steady diet of what we do.
I want to dig into this just a little bit more, because I think what I'm hearing you say, because the Seattle Theater Group is the presenter of record for Broadway Across America, which is the touring overall company. So what I heard you say is they went to bat, essentially,
Yes.
to bring the Fifth Avenue into that
Into that fold.
relationship.
So now, because we have a relationship with STG, Broadway Across America wants to help support the Fifth Avenue. And so we're sitting and making programming decisions with access to all the titles that are going to tour, and a conversation about, does it make sense at STG and at the Paramount? Would it make more sense at the Fifth? What's healthiest for the whole of the ecosystem, if you will? And it's a real opportunity. It's a win. It's a gain for the Fifth Avenue theater going community.
Yeah. All of this knowledge you all are going to have the next time you go to theater. You're welcome. But here's just one more thing about the Fifth Avenue before we go back and talk a little bit more about Seattle Rep. This is not the first time, because full disclosure, I used to do marketing and communications for Seattle Theater Group. So this is not the first time that there has been this kind of collaboration. I can recall specifically many times when a particular company wanted to come to Seattle and there was no room at the Paramount Theater, and the Fifth Avenue was made available.
Yeah, absolutely. We have always been willing to work with each other and support one another. What's different in this moment is an 87-page operating agreement that formalizes how we're going to work with each other, how it's going to be sustainable in the long term, and how it's going to benefit both sides.
And Jeffrey, just what is the long-term view? Do you see, because what I would think and what I see is more collaboration, like finding more areas of commonality where you all can work together. Is that what
Yeah,
you're thinking?
we're actively looking for that right now, and we can do it thoughtfully and take our time and be strategic about it. I don't know if folks saw in the Seattle Times this morning the announcement of some significant grants from the Allen Family Philanthropies. The biggest grant went to this collaboration between the Rep and Seattle Children's Theater. So clearly, thank you, very exciting. So clearly the philanthropic community is excited about the possibilities here, and anything that allows us to control our expenses, but then provide some synergy on the audience development side of the ledger, leads to our stability and to Seattle Children's stability over the long term.
That's super. I just want to, because the Sergeant of Arms has been waving at us, and I want to make sure. I just want to give each one of you an opportunity to leave this audience with what you think is the most important thing they should know about your organizations, besides buying tickets.
Buy tickets. I think the most important thing is that the Fifth Avenue is healthy and we're building to a really bright future. And I think there are people walking around thinking, "Oh God, this alliance somehow means the end of something." It's not the end; it's the beginning of something. It's a new beginning.
Yeah, I would agree. I do think that the general perception out there, not helped, if I can be frank, by our friends at the Seattle Times, who really like this narrative about the arts failing and the arts struggling. That is not true. That actually these relationships are evidence of innovation and how we are working through, truly a challenging time, and that the Rep is stable, the Fifth is stable. We're excited about the future. We believe that there's growth in the future, and so please come and see the work that we're doing and know that we are here. We're not on the edge of failure, which I think is the perception that is often out there.
Thank you so much. We could talk for another hour or so, but thank you so much, Bill. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for the work that you do. All of you, please go support these organizations. And let me just remind you that experiencing art will lower your cortisol.
Yes.
So, so get out there and get busy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, if you can stay up, we want to give our audience an opportunity to ask some questions.
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Vivian, masterful job facilitating the conversation. Thank you both
Yeah.
so much.
Yes, ma'am. Right here.
Okay, hang on just a moment.
Thanks. Hi, my name is Karen Kalish, and I have two hard questions to ask you.
Stump
First
us.
of all, what?
Stump us with a hard question.
Well, first of all, I go to both. I am going to see Come From Away, and I took 25 people to sup, and that was
Nice.
wonderful. One of the questions is, are you reaching out to people of color? Because when I go, it's mostly a white audience, and I'm much more comfortable in a mixed audience. And I'm also curious about how you choose plays, because some of them are good and some of them I leave at the intermission. So I'm just
Aaron,
so
I have to
curious.
leave. I can't talk to you anymore. I'll go first. Yeah, we're always reaching out to new audiences. We have a whole department that is working on community engagement. We're trying to build partnerships with all kinds of different groups in Seattle. It is an intentional part of the Fifth Avenue's work, but it is also work that is slow and takes time. We have to build trust with people. Just suddenly saying, "Hey, come on in," does not work. We need to find ways to make meaningful connections with people. So we're working on it at the Fifth. I know you're about 5 years ahead of us, I think, in this work. So I don't know if you want to.
Well, I mean, there's always more to do. I think it starts with the programming. What is the work that's on stage? What are the stories being told? Who are the protagonists? I think it really starts there. And so it really starts as an artistic conversation. I'm the managing director. I'm not responsible for picking the plays, the one thing I'm not responsible for. But when we talk about our audience development goals, it really starts with a partnership with the artistic department. And we have to program for the audience that we want to see. And so that's where it starts. I think we have made a lot of progress at the rep, at least in my time there. I know there's a heck of a lot more to do. And so that's one of the considerations. What is the audience that the show is going to be bring in? What can we afford? Are there opportunities for Seattle-based artists? Do we have a mix of comedies and dramas, new plays and classics, and musicals and straight plays? So there are a lot of considerations that go into the 7 or 8 plays that we ultimately end up announcing, and probably starts with a list of 400 plays that my artistic staff is reading to boil it down to those 8, and they have to meet all of those considerations before we can release the season.
It's really ditto on the play selection for us. We go through a very similar process. The only thing I would add is for every time someone comes up to me and tell me the thing they liked the least, I have another person who came up and told me that was the thing they loved the most. And it's kind of the beauty of a big subscription house. We're programming for a lot of different people. And so everyone's favorite isn't the same thing, and that's okay. But hopefully throughout the course of coming to the 5th multiple times, you do see something you love and maybe something that wasn't your favorite, and then you'll see something else that you love.
Hi, Josh Lieberman. Thanks very much, all of you, for a great discussion. Vivian, could you say something about your organization? Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, sure. So Art Noir is a Black art gallery and gift store. We are a cultural reclamation organization in the heart of Seattle's Central District, which was historically Black my whole lifetime until about 20 years ago, when we saw the population go from 80% Black residency down to under 10%. So one of the ways that we are reclaiming space and reclaiming culture and building community is through this specific anchor space that sits on the corner of 23rd and Union. There you go. Thank you. And Jan said it's a great.
Yeah, go check it out.
Thank you so much for asking.
Hi, my name is Dia, and I know you guys mentioned that you avoided doing a merger because that would cause a lot of job losses, but I'm curious as to what strategies you're implementing to be more cost efficient, especially in this economy when things are getting super expensive.
Yeah, I will say the message shouldn't be that we didn't have job losses. We did have job losses. Part of merging, and we didn't merge. Part of working together is there are things they're going to do that we don't need people to do anymore. But what we've tried to do is find ways to redeploy those people into other areas of the organization. Or if SDG needed to hire someone, we made sure that the people that we would no longer have were at least in line to look at those jobs. But we did have some losses that have to reduce our staff. We've reduced by about 15 people over the course of the last year and a half. And then we're always, listen, every business is always looking at how to become more efficient. Starbucks is trying to figure out how to be more efficient. The arts are no different. Every day is a conversation about, is there a way to do that more efficiently? What could we do differently and still deliver high quality art, still make sure that our patrons are taken care of with excellent customer service? But there's always a conversation taking place about what could we do differently? What systems could we implement that would make this work better?
Oh, last question, I guess. Tell us a little bit about the come from away relationship that both the rep as well as the Fifth Avenue working together was all about, and how that helped us as far as dollars went for both organizations.
Yeah. How many people here have seen Come From Away? Oh, good. Okay. A lot of folks are very familiar with it. You probably know the story, the beginning of the story a little bit better, because I took the job just about like 9 days before the workshop at the rep, but it started with a workshop at the Fifth, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So one of the producers came to the Fifth Avenue and said, would you be interested in helping develop the show? And they were very clear up front that they didn't think it would actually premiere at the Fifth Avenue, but we were doing a lot of new work development in our rehearsal studios, and we had the infrastructure staff that could do that work. But they also said, but we want to work with the rep because we think it's going to premiere at the rep. So would you partner with them? And the answer was a very quick, yeah, of course we partner with them. That sounds really exciting. Also, to work on a new musical, knowing it's going to get its first production, that you're not just going to do this workshop for 4 weeks and then who knows, to know at the end of that period, sometime in the next 6 to 9 months, there would be a full production, became really appealing for us. So we worked together on that and presented that workshop together. The financial part after that, because we didn't feel we had put in enough sweat equity, we did not keep a piece of the show. Some shows you work on and you own a portion of it in the future and you get returns, royalties. We did not take royalties on it because what we had done is 4 weeks of our space, some of our staff, and we turned it over to our good friends at the rep who ran with it from there.
Yes, and we did hold on to a piece of it, and
you should have
worked out. Yeah, most of the time I could buy you a cup of coffee for what comes back on that piece, but this is one of the rare instances where it was, turned out to be a very successful show. We look like geniuses now, but at the time it was very scary. We did not have a long history of producing musicals. A musical about 9/11, really. But we did another workshop at the Rep, and then there was a world premiere co-production. Started at La Jolla Playhouse down in near San Diego, and then that production came to the Rep. We sort of co-produced that together, and then from there, the show moved to Washington D.C. for another run, and then it opened on Broadway, where it ran for 5+ years until the pandemic shut it down. Productions in London and Toronto, national tours, Australia. I mean, just, hugely, hugely beyond what any of us could have imagined. The show came back on national tour twice after its premiere at the Rep, and it was at the Fifth both of those times and did very well. We are now producing a new version of the show, a 10th anniversary production. So it's the same show, same songs, but a new staging, a new concept, a new set, new cast. It's wonderful to have that music in the building again. I'm going to go back and see some of rehearsal this afternoon, and we have our first performance right after Thanksgiving, and it's selling very well. So get your tickets now. It's doing great. It's doing great. So I hope you come and see it.
I just want to say thank you to both Bill and Jeff. You all, the Fifth Avenue Theater is part of the Downtown Historic Theater District and has a great, great history in this city. And of course, the Seattle Rep Theater is the brainchild, I think, to much extent of Bagley Wright, who I revere consistently. And I'm just so grateful that the two of you are thinking about the future. And I think that each of us can say thank you by applauding them both for maintaining the legacy and history of two of our important organizations. So thank you.
Yes, stay here for just a minute. Stay. Thank you all. And if you haven't seen Come From Away, you need to see it. I've seen it 4 times. I'm seeing it again. As a thank you for your participation today, Seattle Rotary Service Foundation has provided 600 servings of healthy produce to those in need through Harvest Against Hunger in all of your names. Thank you again for joining us. And thank you to those of you who give to SRSF that allows us to make these contributions. So
Thank you so much.
well, thank you. One more applause. Thank you. Love you, dear. Okay. Before I update you on our SRSF campaign, I want to let all of you know to watch for your ballot for the slate of next year's officers, board members, and SRSF trustees. I believe there's going to be a slide popping up. You should have an email by the end of the day. Please respond quickly to that email so that we can announce our new set of officers and board members in December at our annual meeting. Is it up there? Do you have it? Okay. Well, when he finds it. Here we go. Whoops. There you go. I'm not going to read it. You can all read for yourself. But we have a great slate, and you'll get that in your email today. Speaking of SRSF, I want to give you a brief campaign update. First, a huge, ginormous thank you to the 40% of you who have already made your gifts. We are now at 85% of our financial goal of $200,000, which means that the people who have given are giving more than they have in the past. And we're really grateful for that. However, you may remember me saying at the beginning of our campaign, we want 100% giving. So if you haven't made your donations, please do so today. You can pull out your checkbook. You can read that QR code that's on your table. It was on your chair. You can also make a pledge and give your money in 2026 as long as it's by the end of June. I have been told that the SRSF board members are going to start making their calls to follow up with those of you who have not donated. If you don't want to get a call, this would be a good time to make your gift. I also want to note that while the SRSF campaign is going well, only 15% of you have given to TRF, the Rotary Foundation. That is the global service foundation for Rotary. In order for our club to be eligible for matching grants from the district, 60% of you have to give. We're only at 15%. So let's get those donations in as well. Their QR code is also on this piece of paper that was left on your chair. And also, before we have a drawing for 3 more prizes, I wanted to remind you that applications for grants that we make as a result of your generosity are now available on the website. If you are involved in a nonprofit, either locally or internationally, connect them with our grant making process and consider being their Rotary advocate. Each applicant has to have an advocate from Rotary to be applying for a grant. And those advocates cannot be either employed by the organization or on the board. So please connect your nonprofits that you're supportive of to our grant making process. So we have 3 more prizes to award today. Those are to those who have already given their gifts to SRSF or made their pledges. We have 1 more spot at the wine tasting event. We also have a dim sum lunch for 6 to 8 people at the Diamond Bay Restaurant in the International District on January 10th. Thank you for that from Asunta Ing. We also have a Whidbey Island getaway courtesy of Sue McNabb. David, you want to come up and we'll do these drawings and then he will have some announcements. Not that I know what it says. Okay. You better read it. Okay. You have the mic.
I have the mic. 252017. Somebody in this room has this number.
You have to be present, so. If you lose your ticket?
Oh dear. Okay. Jan, you won. 252021. David. Which one is this? Is this for the wine tasting?
Wine tasting.
That's the wine tasting. Okay, next one.
Yep. Okay. This will be for the dim sum dinner.
Thank you, Asunta.
Lunch, yes. Sorry.
252002. Oh my
Nancy.
gosh. Excellent.
You better write these down. And the last is for a getaway at Whidbey Island from Sue McNabb.
252020. Oh my gosh. Jan, you won again. All right. 252028. Paul, come on, raise your hand. Congratulations, Paul.
That's a getaway on Whidbey Island.
Excellent.
Terrific. Thank you, David. Do you have some announcements for
I
us?
do have some announcements. I'm not going to stand in front of you, Jan. All right, I'll walk in front of you.
You can walk.
All right. So, Wednesday, December 3rd, lunch meeting here at the WAC. Our first meeting of Health and Wellness Month is going to feature Washington State Secretary of Secretary of Health, Dennis Worsham. We'll see you back here at the WAC on December 3rd. Monday, December 15th is the annual holiday party. I was expecting more applause with the holiday party. If you've been there, you know. The registration link's up on the website for the annual party from 5 to 8 on Monday, December 15th at the Queen City Yacht Club. The good news is that our bartenders, as always, will be Heavy Pour Pete Delaney and I did not write this, but Jolly John Steckler. Rest assured, we'll be dancing again this year. Thanks to a DJ recommendation from Asunta for that, and we'll see you there. And then finally, Wednesday, December 17th, a lunch meeting here at the WAC again. Final meeting of 2025 before the holidays is going to feature local NBA great James Donaldson as our featured speaker. He will not need this, Jan. Note that this will be our last meeting until the new year, and our next lunch meeting will be on January 7th. Jan, back to you.
Thanks, David. In the arts, every collaboration expands possibility, ensuring the spotlight reaches every corner of our community. When creativity flourishes, so do we, celebrating imagination, connection, and the vibrant cultural life that makes our region so extraordinary. Thornton Wilder once wrote, "I regard the theater as the greatest art of all art forms, the most immediate way in which a human being can share with another the sense of what it is to be a human being." Thank you all for joining us today. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I happen to be very grateful for all of you. And I'll look forward to seeing you on December 3rd for our Health and Wellness Month and at the holiday party. We are adjourned.